When athletic directors begin the search for a new head coach, they're looking for a leader who checks the boxes and can elevate the program to the next level. Eric Peterson is the right man for the job and is no stranger to turning programs around. He helped USD to its first conference title in the D1 era in his first stint at South Dakota, and then did the same thing at Utah State when the Aggies went to 3 straight NCAA tournaments.
The process, while this process might have seemed quick, it was not rushed at all. President Gestring and I were extremely focused on the attributes and characteristics of what we were looking for in our next head men's basketball coach, and Eric, without a doubt, checked all the boxes and more.
Our next USD men's basketball head coach and alumnus, Eric Peterson.
South Dakota are Summit League champions again. It's a three-peat for the Coyotes. USD reigns in Sioux Falls.
How do you replace a coach that has taken the program where it had never been before?
For South Dakota, the dream is now a reality. The Yotes move on to the Sweet 16 for the first time in program history.
Today is just another great day to be a Coyote. I feel like I said that just about 3 weeks ago.
With that, I'm sure everyone is dying to hear from your new coach. I would like to introduce to you Kayla Karius.
It's been a whirlwind last few months for both South Dakota basketball teams. The women's team made it to the program's first ever Sweet 16. And during that run, athletic director David Herbster hired a familiar face to lead the men's basketball program in Eric Peterson. Peterson was here 4 years ago as an assistant coach under Craig Smith. A few short weeks later, Don Plitzowite left to become the head coach at West Virginia University, and David Herbster was back on the hiring trail. And again, he turned to a familiar face, this time to lead the women's basketball squad. Kayla Karius, who was an assistant coach 4 years ago under Coach Plitzowite at USD, was named the next head women's basketball coach at South Dakota.
Well, for me, when I was following the team throughout the NCAA tournament, I saw them just continuing to win game after game, and secretly cheering for them and rooting for their success, since I knew so many of the players and so much of the staff. And then when they went to the Sweet 16, it was just an incredible moment. So I certainly followed all of that from afar. And then when she decided to move on and the staff had left, when this position was open, I just thought it was a total no-brainer. I think from my previous time here as an assistant coach, from living in Vermilion to experiencing USD and knowing what I know, it was a no-brainer. We loved USD athletics, we really fell in love with the community, and it was really a family decision, but for us, truly a no-brainer when this position came open to try to pursue it and to make this our next home.
Coach Karius is no stranger to success, dating back to her playing days at Green Bay, Wisconsin, where she was a standout player on the Phoenix basketball team. She was the 2011 Horizon League Player of the Year. She also led her team to 4 conference titles, 3 NCAA tournaments, and the NCAA Sweet 16 her senior season. At the conclusion of her Green Bay playing career, she received the Horizon League Cecil N. Coleman Medal of Honor. She also spent 4 seasons playing professionally overseas. After her playing days were over, Coach Karius was not done with basketball. She turned to coaching.
Well, I think the first time that I knew I wanted to be a head coach was when I was still playing in college. I think when I got to my junior year of playing, we didn't have any seniors on the team. So I really felt like I was a senior for really 2 years and had the leadership of the team responsibility for it. And I just felt like at that point, I just was loving it. I was loving it so much. I was having a great experience. I was just really enjoying the process of all of it. and I just couldn't get enough. So I knew at that point I would coach at some point. I really enjoyed being in a leadership role of sort of helping people, managing people, and also I just love the game. I just can't get enough of it. So what better experience, what better career than college basketball? For me, that's what it's all about. So I had the great opportunity after I was done playing to go play professionally for a few years, and I took advantage of that opportunity. I knew coaching would be here for me whenever I was done. And it got to that point after 4 years where I was ready to jump into my career, and certainly took baby steps along the way to get to where I am now.
Coach Peterson, or Coach Petey as he's known by his players and fellow coaches, had a slightly different start to his coaching career. A native of a small town in Wisconsin, Peterson got involved in sports at an early age, playing just about every sport he could. At Wisconsin Lacrosse, he was on the medical side when he first enrolled in college. After some injury issues, he retired from playing. That's when Craig Cole, a high school head coach in Wisconsin, offered Coach Peterson a chance to scout another team. Peterson initially turned it down, but finally said yes and loved it. So he changed his major to physical education, and as they say, the rest is history. 4 years ago, Peterson left to follow Craig Smith to Utah State, then to Utah last year. Peterson said it was a tough decision, but an easy one when David Herbster called him about the South Dakota head coaching position.
It all started was we played in the Pac-12 tournament, I think on a Wednesday, and I was running around. I didn't have the first scout or game plan against Washington, but I think I had 5 or 6 other teams in the tournament that I was prepping for. So I had the next game, no matter who we played, so both opponents. So I was kind of running around during the day. Didn't even hear that it was open, and we played the last game and got to the hotel probably about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I had planned to stay a couple extra days in Las Vegas to do some scouting and meet up with some people, and I think that following Friday morning, David Herbster called me and just asked if I'd be interested in the job, and I said definitely. I'd love to talk to him about the job. We spoke a little bit, but he wanted to meet in person, so got a chance to do that, talk to him, also talked to our president, Sheila Gestring, a little bit just to see where the program has gone since I left. I was here for 4 years as an assistant coach, and after talking to both of them, it was clear that it's somewhere that I wanted to be.
Well, the day that David Herbster called me was actually my birthday. So when I saw his name, I'm like, okay, I really wanted to tell him, like, don't you go ruining my birthday right now, because I've already had that happen. And he knew it was my birthday. In fact, he started with that. And then we just had a great conversation, and I had stepped into the other room to take the call. So my husband, of course, was very curious what was happening, and I had stayed in there probably a little bit longer than he had expected. And we didn't really know the next steps, but we really talked through what he was looking for and how he felt like I was the right person to take over this program and lead us into the next era. And I had a ton of questions. I'm pretty sure I told him, I'm so excited, I can't feel my legs right now. It was just such a natural fit. We were just so excited. When I came back into the main room where my husband was sitting, I just started crying, and then he started crying, just told him what had happened. We were just so thrilled. It was definitely a day and a birthday to remember.
A day later, the Kariuses were on the USD plane and on their way to Vermillion to begin their journey at South Dakota once again.
Really fun whirlwind the next, well, I was going to say 24 hours, but I think it lasted a little longer than that. And then the very next day, we were boarding the USD plane, and it's my son's first plane ride ever. I mean, what 2-year-old gets that experience? So he was so thrilled to have that. And we got on the plane and headed to Vermillion and went straight to the arena to meet with the team. And I know that this community is very invested, and there was rumors floating around who it could be, and people were starting to track the plane, which didn't help with the secrecy of everything. But when I showed up, it was really fun to walk in that locker room. For this group, with the 9 players returning that we have here, I was a part of all of the recruitment process except 1 player. So some more than others. I remember talking to some a ton and actually being here when they committed, and others it was the beginning of their process. But only being gone 4 years, it was just so fun for me to know these players already. I knew their families. I was able to go around and give them each a hug and call them by first name and really know them. I've sat in the room with them before when they've considered USD and some when they've even committed. So for me, that is just such a unique part of this all. But when I'll never forget the moment when I turned the corner and looked into the room and just like the looks on their faces and the smiles, like they're just so excited to have their next leader. And for us, it's just that special personal connection that we already have. It makes it a really good fit.
A whirlwind the next few days is what Peterson also described his first few days after he accepted the job in March.
So it happened really fast. We decided Monday that it was the best thing for our family, and they sent a plane on Tuesday morning. And so I don't know if I was fully ready for it, but got on the plane. David Herbster flew out to Salt Lake, picked us up, drove us back, or flew us back, I should say, and drove us to the gym and met with the players over Zoom. And that was a little bit different because they were all on spring break. And so it was hard, introduced my family, talked a little bit about expectations and where we wanted to take this program. And you know, it was kind of different because everybody was in different places on Zoom. Some guys were on spring break in Rapid City, some guys were back home. So it was tough not to meet face to face the very first time I met some of these guys. But so went from that, met with some boosters, had dinner with the Herbsters that night, and then the next day was the press conference. And after that, I feel like it was a blur.
When it came time for the press conference, both Kayla and Eric said it was easy for them since they were here 4 short years ago. It felt like they were just talking to old friends and not a room full of strangers.
I was like, man, my kids are going to bed at 11. They're supposed to be at a press conference the next morning. Not sure how this is going to go. And so I finally got them to bed. I'm sitting there at 11:30. I hadn't even written anything down for the press conference yet. So I went down to the lobby, and it was really quiet. It was Tuesday night in Vermilion, so not a lot of people at the Holiday Inn. I just wrote some stuff down. I didn't write the whole thing out. I just wrote some talking points and just thought, hey, you know, I'm just going to be myself and speak from the heart. That's the advice I got. So just wrote some talking points down. And the press conference to me was easy because most people in the room I already knew. So it was like I was just talking to people that I worked with before. So it wasn't bad at all. And then after that, it was just boosters waiting around, interviews. I think I did 8 different interviews. Went to the Pizza Ranch, ate some food real quickly, and then did 2 more interviews at the Pizza Ranch. And the next day, I think I went up to Sioux Falls, met with some boosters, did some more speaking engagements. So those couple of days, it was hard because you're trying to knock a bunch of that stuff out, but you know you got to hire staff. You know you got to call recruits and get some people on board. So those couple of days were kind of a blur, but it was fun. It was fun to talk about leaving South Dakota and how much better I got as a coach, and then just how much I believe in this place and how excited, not just me, but my family is to be back here too.
Another step, I walked into that room and saw so many familiar faces. So it was even more of a comfort level when I walked in and had several current players, a couple of former players, fans, administration, other coaches from USD who came and stopped by, who I had already worked with. It was just a whole room full of people. It felt like coming home. And so I wasn't nervous about it. And I felt like it was the perfect time to just introduce myself, my family, and to just get familiar again with USD.
It's been a few years since the last time they stepped into the Sanford Coyotes Sports Center, but both Karius and Peterson are fired up to get back into the gym with their players and staff to instill their culture within their program.
Boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it. Quitting was never an option. Exhausted. This passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it. I had to switch up the flow. Show you the way that it goes. God is good, but his life is hard. But it gets better when you grind small.
I wanted to just start putting them through some drills. And it was really fun because they were different from what they had experienced. Certainly when you have a transition of a new coach, the way you say things, your lingo, sometimes it sounds different, and they know what you mean, but they're not quite sure what you're saying. And I had a lot of confused looks. It was so great, especially to be pointing out to them like, look, you just need to just dive in. You just need to give it your all. If you're not sure where to go or what to do, you need to look around, you need to help each other and communicate. I'm going to explain everything at the beginning, and then you just need to dive in and see where it goes.
We have our group here and get started with those workouts. Honestly, I talked to our team, a lot of it's just getting their body right for the fall. A lot of guys need work in the weight room, a lot of guys need stretching, mobility, movement stuff, and to put on weight. Once we get into the fall, the summer is a period where they get to know our terminology, they get to know some of the drills that we're doing in team practices, get better with some skill work and individual workouts. Once we hit the fall, it's full steam ahead. We can start practice late September, but we still get our 8 hours. We can use it however we want. So the expectations is they come back and they're ready to rock. Basketball is a long season. It's almost 6 months. We talk about this, is going to sound cliche, but just trying to get a little bit better every single day. And you can do that throughout the summer to prepare us for the fall. So when we do get everybody back, we start building that chemistry and start building that team. So when we start our first official practice, we're all connected and we're all together.
On the next episode of Building a Program, we talk with both coaches about how they each chose their staff and getting out on the recruiting trail to begin building their team for next season.
Forming a staff is a really important piece of being a head coach. For Ty, Gabby, and Taylor, I've talked to a lot of people around them and in their circles who really respect each one of them.
The true way to really get the most out of players, and I feel like our staff are relationship people. I wouldn't have hired them if I didn't feel that way. And I think in the short amount of time that they've been here, they've done a great job building relationships with our players.